I'd like to start off this secular new year with an image I hope that we can really enjoy together. So imagine, if you will, just humor me for a moment here, me in junior high, a hearty 105 pounds, with a shaggy post-bowl cut, playing wide receiver and cornerback for my middle school football team. Enjoy that image. That's my gift to you in 2022. And it really was as comical as it sounds, and the image in your head is about right. And what makes it even better is that I was terrible. I mean, really terrible. But first of all, unless you grow up in Texas, there's really no reason to have a wide receiver on a junior high football team, because nobody can throw the ball more than 10 yards, so it's kind of a throwaway position. But we did have one pass play. It was called a zip pass. It's a simple screen pass, but it lacked the screen part. So pretty much what would happen is the quarterback would snap the ball, throw immediately to the wide receiver, either to the left or to the right, and then it was up to the person who caught the ball to gain some yardage, which for me invariably meant that when this play would be called, I would wait for the snap, turn to face the quarterback, catch the ball, and then get immediately slammed into the ground by the kid who, unlike me, was not a late bloomer. So, suffice it to say, I hated playing football. I really hated it. I hated it with all my heart. I hated practice, I hated games, I hated every bit of playing football. But I played it because I so desperately wanted my friends to like me. And because all of my friends not only played football, but loved football. And they had reason to. They were good at it. It made them feel better, and they were right. As far as motivation, they said it would be good for you, that it would build character, that it's good for team sports. There's all these things, these benefits that come from playing football. And for them, they were right. But no matter what I did, everything I could do to work on changing myself, to get stronger, to get faster, to get more knowledgeable with the game, it just never clicked. There was never an aha moment when things fell into place, or where I felt like I was actually contributing in any way that made me feel any kind of fulfillment or pride. And so I just counted down the days until the season was over, and when I could go back to doing the things that I actually enjoyed. And I know that this isn't a story that's unique to me. I think many of us probably have similar experiences, especially when we reflect on our high school days or our junior high days. We look back and we think about the ways that we tried to impress people or win people over by completely being untrue to who we were, to who we are. But I think we also tend to reflect on those moments with a bit of naivety. We laugh at ourselves for being so conformist, while unironically failing to ask ourselves if some of that insincerity, some of that need to belong, despite it being in dissonance with who we are, has stayed with us and is still part of us. Because, well, of course it is. Of course it's still part of us. It's New Year's Day, 2022. A new year filled with new potential. Today, millions of gym memberships will be opened. Hundreds of fad diets will be adopted. New hobbies will be taken up, and countless promises will be made. But it is no secret to everyone in this room that very few of those promises will be kept. In a matter of days, weeks, or months, a lot of the collective and national and global momentum will fade. It always does. And we know why. Because despite what we may believe, so much of our lives, so many of our actions are motivated by a need to earn the approval of others. Which, let me just say this up front, is not altogether a bad thing. We live in a society And societal standards of health, of ethics, of motivation, of hard work can be helpful. But where we fall short is giving ourselves, our true, authentic selves, the respect, the kindness, the love to be the center of the conversation. Real change in our lives must come from a place of understanding, of truly understanding who we are and what we need. And that internal conversation, that introspection is hard because it's incredibly sensitive. It's scary. It can make us feel a lot of things that we might not think that we're ready to feel. And this is the hardest part, it takes time. Serious, committed time. Life would be so much easier if we could see a Peloton commercial while we're sitting on the couch, give our love handles a little pinch, and decide then and there that we should get in shape and zail. All set. Or if we could just say, because of an arbitrary date on the calendar, that from this day forward, we're going to stop smoking, stop drinking, become a better spouse, a better parent, a better friend, or dedicate ourselves to an issue, to a hobby, or an initiative. But life doesn't work that way. Because the protagonist of our story is not everyone else. It's us. And it's so beautiful and meaningful that it's us. Because out of all the gifts that we have been given by the Holy One, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo, freedom is the one that allows us to live, to truly live. Not to be, but to live. And to quote Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, just to be is a blessing, but to live is holy. The Torah portion we read this morning offers the first 7 plagues that precede the Exodus from Egypt. And of course we know that in total, the number of plagues there are 10. We can probably recite many of them by memory if we hold up our fingers and pretend that we're dipping the wine on our plates at the Pesach Seder. But in truth, what we learn from our parsha this morning and what we'll finish reading next week is that in actuality there are 11 plagues. And the most severe of them all is the one that persists throughout the litany, the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. And why it's such a devastating plague is because it's the one that never truly dissipates like the others. And it's one that exists in all of us. Not necessarily a hardening of our hearts that makes us apathetic to the pain of others, but hardening of our heart that makes it so difficult for us to break through and see what beats inside of us. What makes us the unique and beautiful I that we are. What fills us with life and vitality and worth and passion. That hardening of the heart stays with us. But with our freedom comes the possibility to break through those calloused layers and to discover a treasure beyond our wildest dreams. The treasure is us. It's who we are, who we really are, and what we need to be the best version of ourselves that we possibly can be. And so I'm making a resolution this year, and I encourage you all to join me. And my resolution is to really dedicate myself to breaking through those hardened layers, to know me better, and to base the changes, those other ideas of resolution, to base those changes I make in my life not on which companies or industries tell me I am or should be, but on the me that I continue to discover throughout the journey within. That's countercultural. It's not what we're told to do in the West in a capitalist society, but it is one of the principal foundations of what it means to be a Jew. Im eina ni li mi li. A line that is usually translated, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But I think is better translated as, if I do not know who I am, then who else possibly could? It's not an easy journey, especially for those of us like me who aren't the most patient of people. As Rabbi Alan Liu says in his beautiful book with the same title, the idea is to, quote, be still and get moving. How do we change? How do we go forward and make ourselves better? We first have to sit still. We have to block out the noise of fads and trends and societal pressure, and we have to get to know us. And when we do, the changes aren't ebbs and flows or peaks and valleys. They are just another part of who we are, another beat of our heart, another path to explore. One last story, because I think this helps illustrate the point. There was a video somewhere on the internet, on TikTok or Instagram, somewhere on the internet that I stumbled across. It was really profound. A man is doing some gardening, and he's placing flowers into a flower bed while talking into the camera. And in his monologue, he says the following: "My wife and some of my friends recently started going to therapy, and they suggested that I try it out. I laughed and said, there's no reason for me to go to therapy. I'm perfectly happy. There's nothing in my life that I would change. But they really kept pressing, and so I agreed to go to one session. And there the therapist said to me, tell me about yourself. And I said, that's just the thing. That's why I think I don't need to be here. I'm happy. I'm a loyal and dedicated husband. I'm a present, involved, and loving father. And I'm a good and reliable friend. And then she said to me, all of that's wonderful, but that's not what I asked. I asked you to tell me about you, not who you are in relation to other people. Who are you?" And I couldn't answer. And tears came into my eyes. But I want to answer. And so I started that day, and I continue today to do just that, to find out who I am. I know in abundance what I am not. And first and foremost, I am definitely not a football player. The next year, when I started high school, I didn't sign up for my high school football team. And you know what? My friends remained my friends. And I was so much happier. And I spent the time that I would have spent playing football, doing other things, singing, skateboarding, acting, reading, writing, things that felt good to me because they resonated with my neshama. They spoke to my soul. They were in harmony with the true me. And there's a lot of that me still left to discover. And I owe it, and I think we owe it, not just to ourselves, not just to our families and our friends, but to the one who created us, who spoke and the world came into being, to be still and to get moving. Here's to a new year, my CSC family. May it be one filled with blessings, with health, and with digging through those hard, tough layers together. We'll continue now with Musaf, page 100.